This episode is brought to you by Jira by Atlassian. Jira isn't just for tracking work anymore. It's how dev teams stay in control when AI agents are executing on the work. Assign to your favorite agent, and the agent gets full context from across your stack right away. A pull request surfaces when it's ready. You stay in the loop and out of the weeds. See how teams are shipping with agents at jira.dev. That's jira.dev.
We're joining Tony to stop that train down the end of Oak Street. I'm Dan Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies. Boom! Hello and welcome back to another week of Off Screen. We are going to look at lots of new movies this week, of course, as we always do. We've got Stop That Train with an exclamation mark after every single word. We've got the end of Oak Street and Tony to look at. But as always, we are going to dive straight into the UK and Ireland top 10 in the box office right now. So what is charting? What are people watching? So at number 10... Vishwanath & Sons. No idea what this is. It's been out a week and it's on 280,000.
I know nothing of it. I feel like I should just record this exact bit that I'm about to say, and we'll just install it as a clip, and then every week I'll hit the button and you can have my voice say, well, this is clearly a Bollywood, a foreign language film that has not been shown to members of the press, because in this country, for some reason, it absolutely astounds me, we don't do that. Despite the fact that whenever they do, sort of once or twice a year, if we're lucky, actually do bother, they usually turn out to be pretty good. However, on this occasion, they did not, and I'm unable to provide an opinion on this particular release. There we go. We'll record that from this episode, and we'll just put that back out every week. I'm going to hit that button, and we'll come back with that exact spiel, and we'll just do. It's always about number 10 as well. You never know, it's like number 9 or 10 every week.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely right, and it's number 10 this week because at number 9 it is the, I guess I could just call it, remake of Moana. That's been out for 6 weeks now.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can call it the remake of Moana. Because there's nothing new about it. I'm reasonably sure that the script is word for word the same. I want someone to do this exercise, like one of the sort of film sort of nitpick sites. I want someone to find a copy of the script for this and actually lay it out next to the animated screenplay, and word for word see if they actually are as identical as I think they are. Because nothing about this has changed except for the fact that in live action it looks so much duller and so much uglier. And weirdly, somehow Dwayne Johnson loses a lot of the charisma in the transition to live action, despite playing the exact same character that he himself originated in a movie that only had its animated sequel last year. I genuinely think this should have been the end of the line. Like, this should have been it. This should have been the move where we scrapped all the Disney live-action adaptations, because this thing is beyond the definition of soulless. I sat there watching it thinking, why am I just watching an uglier, less interesting version of the exact same movie that my nephew and I have been watching for a decade? Like, why? I mean, clearly the answer to that is, hang on, £12.7 million. But beyond that, there is actually no real reason.
I just feel like they should have done it the other way around. They should have done live action first and then done the animated, because with animation you can add so much more.
No, or just do the live action adaptation first and then do the sequel to the animated one after. Like, maybe you can tell people you can have your pick. We're only giving sequels to the animated one, though. You have either to choose from now. Telling people, but the animated one has a sequel and this is just the live action of the first one. First of all, it sort of implies that they have to do a live action adaptation of the second one, which I sincerely hope they never ever do, because that movie sucked. But also, no. It's ridiculous timing.
All right, well, that's at number 9. At number 8 is Tony. That's only been out a week, and that's on 400,000 just over now.
Well, we are going to review that one shortly, so we'll do a proper talk on that one in a little while. Same with End of Oak Street. So we can move on to number 7 then, which has hit digital now, I believe. So you can actually potentially watch this one at home now. And it's one of my sort of favourite animated romps of the year. It's Minions and Monsters, which you have a son. He's what, 6? Your son?
7, nearly 8.
7, nearly 8. Well, wow. Oh, so yeah, forget my nephew and your son the exact same age. So has he asked you about Minions and Monsters? Has he expressed any interest in wanting to see Minions and Monsters?
No, I mean, last week I was off with him for the whole week for the summer, and I wanted to do cinema trips so many days because it was so hot, and I just thought air conditioning. Wasn't interested. He wanted to go swimming. He wanted to go out to the beach. So I just didn't do any movies.
Which is a shame. I mean, obviously not a shame for him because obviously his life is richer than just movies. I envy him. But in my particular case, where life literally revolves around movies, he would have had a good time with this because I think it claps the sort of perfect balance between a film that works for the adults and a film that works for kids, and at the same time, both can enjoy equally in a third regard. As in, you have a lot of the love of old Hollywood kind of for the nerdy parent. You have a lot of the Minions slapstick silent era stuff for the kids, and then the middle of it all is sort of adventure that kind of just brings everyone together, namely through a 1950s B-movie plot involving an alien robot named Dort, I think his name is, who's played by Jesse Eisenberg, who I think might be worth the movie on his own, if not for a certain cameo by Mr. George Lucas at the very, very beginning of the film, which I didn't realise actually was George Lucas as well. So hats off to him for finally developing a sense of humour for the first time in his life. But I really like the movie. I'm a very big fan of it. I'm looking forward to seeing it again, especially now it's starting to appear on digital this week, so I will give this one a rewatch pretty soon.
At number 6, and my son has seen this, I haven't, but he has, and he said it was brilliant. Toy Story 5, 9 weeks that's been out now, and that's on 55 million quid.
And what did I tell you at the start of this year? One of the biggest earners was going to be. I told you there's no way in hell Toy Story 5 doesn't end this year as like one of the top 3 grossers. I tell you, it's going to be this, Odyssey, and Spider-Man, probably. Like these will be the 3 highest grossing films. Although it's worth noting, I think it's Obsession crossed a sort of boundary this week as well. Obsession is now the highest grossing independent movie since horror movie, I think it is, since the Blair Witch Project. So it's the highest grossing horror movie in 27 years, I think it is. But Toy Story 5, I mean, this was a predictable amount of money. It was very predictable that a 5th Toy Story movie in this day and age was still going to make them, because it doesn't go away, Toy Story. And it's also timeless. Because it's computer animated, it's never dated, particularly except for maybe the quality of the animation ever so slightly. And kids don't care about that as long as it's Buzz and Woody. You know what I mean? And you've got the cast back, you've got the characters back, you've got a tech element in there, which again doesn't really date it that much. Like it's kind of a very broad kind of exploration of tech. And I think it's just a kind of return to form after a really disposable 4th movie. I think this is a lot stronger than that, and of course has my boy Conan O'Brien as Smarty Pants, now my favourite character in the entire Toy Story canon. Like I'll give up my dreams of owning a Buzz Lightyear suit if I can be Smarty Pants for Halloween or something like that.
Well, that's Toy Story 5 at number 6. At number 5, my son would have loved this had he been 3 or 4 years younger. Paw Patrol, the Dino movie. It's been out for 2 weeks, and that surprises me. 3.2 million quid that's made. There's a lot of money in kids' movies.
There's a lot of money in them for the obvious reasons. As I explained before, you never take one child to the cinema. Nobody has ever taken just one child to the cinema, unless your grandparents are taken because it wasn't like a party or something like that. There's usually birthday parties, or it's you and all the cousins get taken, or something. You know what I mean? Like that kind of arrangement. You had it when you were a kid, presumably, where like you and all your cousins who were around the same age, you'd all be scooped up by the uncles and aunties and your parents and taken to the cinema, kind of thing, and made to suffer through, Oliver and Company or whatever. In fact, I think it was The Little Mermaid was the one I managed to get out of. I managed to persuade my mother to take me to see Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, while everyone else went to see The Little Mermaid. Bless my mother.
I only remember the first movie I got to see in the cinema on my own with a friend, and that was Free Willy.
Free Willy? Oh, man, that takes me. What was Free Willy? 95? No, it was earlier, wasn't it? Free Willy 2 is 1995. Free Willy's like...
Yeah, I think it was 93, maybe. Yeah.
93, 94, I think, was the first Free Willy. But no, Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, I didn't get to see because it's a Paramount movie, so, read into that one what you will. But also, it's amazing to me that they've managed to make this high-profile thing out of yet another Paw Patrol movie. I don't quite understand the whole Paw Patrol thing because I get kind of lost in the confusing logic of it. I need my children's cartoons to have a sense of logic. I can find logic in Thomas and Friends. I can't in Paw Patrol. I have so many questions, and every parent friend I've asked has no answer for any of them. But it's Paw Patrol with dinosaurs, so it's kind of easy to see the obvious appeal and why that would get kind of kids coming in droves. And like I say, summertime, birthday parties, these things kind of all line up. I could see this one doing gangbusters. It'll get a Paramount Plus in like 6 weeks or so, be another hit on there, and go through Sky in the UK and stuff like that. This movie's not going anywhere. I dare say by the end of this year, I will have to have seen Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, much to my shame.
And number 4 this week, Cat's Eye Wild Hearts. That's been out a week, and that's on 725,000.
I saw this written down, and I'm thinking, is it a music doc? Is Cat's Eye a musician or something, or a band? Like, I don't know what this is. Like,
Never heard of Cat's Eye before.
Not a clue. Answers on a postcard, please. There's a real old reference. Just at us. You remember when you used to have to say answers on a postcard?
I do. Yeah. P.O. Box.
Do they actually sell postcards? Can you just go and buy a book of postcards?
Yeah. You can sell, but unfortunately, you have to go to the beach to be able to do so.
Oh, okay. So you have to go to the seafront and find one that's got pictures of like Brighton Pier on.
Yes.
You can't just go down the post office anymore, buy a book of postcards. Sorry, kids, all this sounds like gibberish to you, I'm sure. Ask your parents or your uncles or whoever. Number 3, we can't talk about. We'll review that properly in a minute. Number 2, then.
Yes, it is The Odyssey. A lot of people still talking about this. 5 weeks, now nearly £70 million.
Because everybody had to see it, right?
Yeah.
You've heard from the people you work with. Like, everyone's like, I'm going to go and see The Odyssey. Everybody had to see The Odyssey. I would be genuinely interested to know, and this is what I call the Inception test, right? When Inception came out in 2011, I saw it, I think it was the second or third time I'd seen it. I took my girlfriend at the time, and this was at a public show, and there was a guy sat across the aisle from me, and I'd heard him talking before the movie, and he might have been one of the dumbest human beings I'd ever heard speak aloud. Like, I was honestly amazed that most of what he said actually made coherent sense, because he couldn't string a sentence together. And then afterwards, we were walking out of the film, and I remember hearing him say, "That was right good." Sorry, this was in Sheffield, I have to stress. "That was right good. That was the best film I've seen. The best film I've ever seen," he said. And I didn't actually ask him, but I really, really, more than anything in the universe, just wanted to just sort of, politely take the man aside, just ask him, just as a favour to me, could you just tell me what that film's about? Because I don't think I got it. And just see if he could tell me what happened in Inception. Because I had folding money that would have said that he couldn't. And I feel like with The Odyssey, much like Oppenheimer, because it's a thing that only happens with Nolan, I feel like people heap praise up just because they worry that people will think them stupid. Because they would have to admit to not liking the Oppenheimer. It's like people who are fans of Succession. Right? I don't think they actually like Succession. I think they've been so conditioned by YouTube think pieces and columns in The Guardian to think of Succession as such high art that it's blasphemous, it's sacrilegious to say anything otherwise.
I can also add to that, I think it's like lager. I don't think anybody likes the flavour of lager. It's disgusting, and I think that people pretend to like it because it looks cool.
Dude, I'm drinking a Peroni as we speak.
Touche.
But yeah, I mean, I like The Odyssey very much. I will admit to nodding off for 10 minutes in the third act. I like The Odyssey. I don't think it's among Nolan's top half of his filmography. It's very ambitious and everything, but it is quite dry. And it is the kind of film that only Christopher Nolan would ever make, because if anyone else made it, they would have to deal with being told, "No, this is too boring for a mainstream audience." And let's be honest, it is. It is also weird, though, that this is the first of 2 films that make up the top 2 films of the box office top 10 this week that star Tom Holland and Zendaya.
Well, that is at number 2, The Odyssey. At number 1, we could have probably guessed Spider-Man, Brand New Day. It's been out for 3 weeks now, and that is sat nearly, very close to 80 million quid in 3 weeks.
Do you know how much this has made in total globally?
Well, if it's made 80 million in the UK, I'm guessing globally we've got to be on 300 million.
Nope. 3 weeks, this film has made $2 billion. $2 billion. It is one of the highest grossing things ever.
What was its budget?
Oh, I mean, it's a Sony Marvel Spider-Man movie, so you're going to guess about 200. thereabouts.
Okay.
Like, it's clearly 200, and you can see it on the screen. But I think what's really kind of captivating people with this is, I think, the physicality of it, the practicality of it, shooting it using actual streets and actually having a man on wires being flung through the street. That makes the difference. The characterization of this, the desperation of it, going into a sort of nihilistic, very desperate sort of storytelling that even Raimi didn't really take it into. This affords more depth to the who is Peter Parker, what are his struggles, than even Spider-Man 2 did, although Spider-Man 2 is, in my opinion, still a stronger movie. But I think this gets there by being the first ever real Peter Parker movie rather than a Spider-Man movie. And I think Holland is fantastic in it, absolutely brilliant. Pairing him with John Bernthal, I think, is genuinely inspired.
Wow, I mean, that's 80 million in 3 weeks, impressive, and 2 billion.
2 billion globally. Yeah, like it's the highest grossing Marvel thing since Endgame. It'll probably tap out earning. I mean, that's, again, in that amount of time. So by the time it closes out the box office, what will this have earned? And in my opinion, it deserves success. I don't know if it deserves this level of success, but it deserves success. And we are definitely going to be stuck with Tom Holland as Spider-Man for a good couple more movies for sure after this.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's the state of the UK and Ireland box office top 10. We are moving on to our first new movie next. It's a coming-of-age movie called Tony, and we'll see what Van thought of it next. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. Let's just dive straight into our next movie. So, this is on digital and it's called Tony. Now, from what I can make out, I don't know much about this, Van. It's a sort of coming-of-age movie, this, right?
Sorry, I left it on. It's on digital. Sorry, it should be that it's in the cinemas. It's in cinemas now. This opened last week. It is a coming-of-age movie. It's also a biopic of someone you will know. Funnily enough. I don't know how much you will know of the man, but you will have heard of him. So Anthony Bourdain. You know Anthony Bourdain?
Oh, why? I know the name. Why do I know the name?
Right, most colloquially to you and I, Anthony Bourdain is the TV chef. Former TV chef who presented a sort of travel show called Parts Unknown, where he would go around the world and try different foods. He was a sort of legendary hedonist. He was the guy who always said, "Have that extra glass of wine, light that last cigarette, say hello to that pretty girl you don't think you stand a chance with." Then it was revealed he struggled with depression and took his own life at the age of, I think it was 62. A couple of years ago, only a couple of years ago. He wrote one of the most influential books about being a mainline chef that has ever been written, and it was called Kitchen Confidential. It was published in the early 2000s and was adapted, I think about 2005, by what was then the Fox network, as a short-lived 10 or 12 episode TV show starring a then unknown actor named Bradley Cooper as Anthony Bourdain. So there's weird little things in this. This is now an adaptation of an early part of that book. So it takes an early stage from his memoir, Kitchen Confidential, which specifically covers how he got into working in kitchens. And it is the story of Bourdain as he's sort of in his college days. He's played by Dominic Sessa in only his second lead role. This is worth those. This is Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers. Remember how much I loved The Holdovers and how I said, this kid's never acted before and he's absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see what he does next. This is next. This is where we're at. We are at next now. And he is, like I say, the perfect young Bourdain. Follows his dream girl stalkily follows his dream girl away to Cape Cod for the summer whilst he's sort of waiting to hear on a writing fellowship that he then reveals he hasn't gotten. And he's sort of slumming it, gets a job in a kitchen so he can be around her and also make the money to get home, and finds himself taken in by this gruff, mentorly chef, played by Antonio Banderas, who teaches him there's more to life than, just getting liquored up and girls. There's also a little thing called cooking. So I've got a clip for you. This is from Tony.
1 roll hot, 1 catch fries, 2 sets, full.
You know I can cook, too.
Excuse me?
Kid says he's a cook, chef.
Yeah, wonderful.
I'm not a cook. I'm a writer. I said I could cook.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that.
My dad's like one of the best chefs in New Jersey.
Oh, your dad? Why didn't you say so?
Whatever.
You know what? I'm sorry, brother. You're a cook. Help me plate these. You help me out. I'm behind, please.
All right.
See, I love the sound of this. This ticks all my boxes because I always, you know this, love to watch something where I'm going to learn something from it. I much prefer like documentaries and biographies. But also, I love learning about somebody I didn't know much about. So this, and I love cooking. So why would I not love this?
Well, that's the thing. So I didn't realise until like immediately coming out of the screening that most of like my peers and things didn't know that much about Anthony Bourdain. They really weren't even familiar with him from parts unknown. They'd literally heard the name and then he was a chef and that was it. Like they couldn't tell you what he looked like or anything like that. They show you pictures of him at the end of the film, but I sort of knew him. And obviously, if you're sort of online, you're on TikTok, Instagram, that kind of thing, you will see clips of Bourdain from time to time, particularly if you're an adult man, because God, how many of those insufferable motivational clips do you get with some monologue from Anthony Bourdain over the top to some sad piano? You know what I mean? Those kind of yeah. Oh, I hate them. They drive a friend of mine going through a rough time, bless him, but he endlessly reposts them. And it drives me insane. I think this is genuinely one of the best films of the year. I absolutely love this. I was so taken in by it from minute one. It's got everything. Right. So it's a 70s period piece. Right, there's that going for it. So you've got all the fashion, all the music, everything in the sound. You'll love the soundtrack for this. And a sort of college-age, coming-of-age story set in the 1970s in Cape Cod during kind of the summer that Jaws comes out. So it's all kind of aesthetically a lot like Jaws. At one point, they literally go to a drive-in and watch Jaws. You've got the sort of the heartfelt nature of this relationship between the gruff mentor Antonio Banderas and the sort of, wise ass, smart mouth, young guy. He's going to turn out to be Anthony Bourdain, so it adds that little level of amusement for you. And even if you don't know Bourdain, Sessa's portrayal is so compelling, and he's such a good Bourdain as well. You kind of go along with how much of a smarmy insert expletive here that he is, regardless. And then you've got actually quite a sweet relationship between Sessa and Emilia Jones. And do you know how some people have this period-specific face, as it's called? Like some actors, you just look at and you're like, you need to be in a film that's set in the 1950s. Like you look at, because he's in Lanterns this week, Kyle Chandler, for instance, is an actor that you look at and think, you need to be in a movie about NASA in the 60s. You look like a guy who would be in NASA in the 60s, that kind of thing. Emilia Jones just has the single most perfect 1970s Manic Pixie Dream Girl kind of aura about him. Like,
yeah,
you know what? Yeah, if this film had existed when I was growing up and I had seen like there was this hot actress from a movie 10 years ago, I would have been madly in love with you. This would have been the Phoebe Cates effect. Like if you had actually been around in that time, she's absolutely perfect for it. She owns it entirely. It's a genuinely star-making turn. And I've heard people going on and on about what's her name from the Bob Dylan movie, who's in One Night Only, and I don't care. I don't think she has charisma. Emilia Jones here, though, that's the performance I feel like they were referring to. Is it Monica Barbaro? I think it is, someone like that. And then Leo Woodall turns up. And I'm not really a Leo Woodall guy. I mean, I'm told by my friend Maria, who saw him in an interview on the Graham Norton show and hasn't shut up about it ever since, that, literally everything he's ever said. This is the first role where I genuinely came away going, right, Leo Woodall just stole that movie. He was good in Tuna recently, where he was the hearing impaired, like safe cracking piano guy. He was good in that. First thing I'd really enjoyed him in, but here, this is going into like Jack Raynor, kind of scene stealing, wisecracking, bad influence, older brother kind of territory. And being the guy that sort of teaches Bourdain that historically is an interesting role to have to pull off, and I think he does it with absolute aplomb. Really loved this. I was really taken by the story. I knew Bourdain, but I didn't know the story. I haven't read Kitchen Confidential in, I think, about 20 years, so I'd forgotten all of this. It's a very brief part of the book. But I think the cast are terrific. I think Matt Johnson, who directs this, directed Blackberry as well, and Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, quite recently, the Back to the Future riff that we talked about. Coming from a comedy background, but getting to put this sort of a much more heartfelt, kind of emotionally invested kind of energy in it, I think that results in something quite unique as well. Like I say, I came away from this thinking, I love that. I want to watch it again. And I don't think I've had many better experiences with a film this year, genuinely. I cannot recommend highly enough that you see Tony, even if you know nothing of Anthony Bourdain.
It's on my list. You sold it to me 5 minutes ago. So,
You'll love it
yeah.
for the soundtrack, if nothing else.
Yes, of course I will. Well, it's out now in cinemas. Look for Tony if you want to go and see. Okay, if you loved Jurassic Park, you might love the next movie, depending on what Van says about it. The End of Oak Street. We'll see what Van thinks next. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. In a moment we're going to look at Stop That Train, but we're diving into a dinosaur adventure movie right now, which is called The End of Oak Street. I know nothing about this apart from it's got dinosaurs in it, so I want to know more.
Do you know what? The annoying part is, when they were initially marketing this, it wasn't known specifically that it did involve dinosaurs. There is a dinosaur, like a fleeting image of a dinosaur in the trailer, but it wasn't, like, really pronounced. And as the movie's gotten closer, they've kind of given the game away with that. So we now get to reveal the plot in a way that I genuinely wouldn't have thought you would if you'd seen it and reviewed it like a month ago, for instance. So let's see, short version now. I hate having to do this because I really thought it was a good reveal. So, new movie from the director of It Follows, David Robert Mitchell, stars Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway, the sort of the big names. It's set in, I think it's the early 1980s. I think it's specifically 1982. It's never specified, but there are a lot of nerds on the internet, so someone figured it out, based on certain paraphernalia and pop culture references. The basic gist here is that you have a family, sort of very Spielbergian family, going through, the rocky stage of a marriage where the parents are seemingly on the cusp of divorce. Dad's kind of, his job is in danger. He's not making the hours. He's having to put in, for a second and third job, delivering pizzas and things like that around the neighborhood. And then one night, there is a flash in the night sky, and everybody wakes up. The water isn't working. The power isn't running. It's almost like they're not connected to anything. And they quickly realise it's affecting the entire neighbourhood. But when they try to drive out of the neighbourhood, they notice that the neighbourhood is now a giant disc, almost like from under the dome. And this giant disc has seemingly been taken from, where they live and dumped 65 million years into the past. That's all I'll say. Yeah, I can tell from your eyebrows it's an exciting enough concept. That's all I'll say. Have a listen.
Water's not working.
Looks like the whole neighborhood's lost power.
What the hell is that?
We can't leave.
I think that our neighborhood, our house, our whole street has moved.
How the hell is that even possible?
Get out of there! Run!
What the hell's going on?
Get inside now!
I just heard a gunshot!
Oh, I'm liking this. And a very interesting use of Billy Joel there, which is not someone I would have put with a dinosaur movie, to be quite honest with you. Although the song they used is I'm Moving Out, which sort of makes sense.
Yes, as well. And actually, it's very, very Spielbergian, so much so that I'm about to use the 4 worst words I have ever had to say aloud, and I'm going to need to shower after this. Here we go. Robbie Collins was right. Yeah, I had to say it. Robbie Collins was right. Robbie Collins called it the best Spielberg movie you'll see this year.
Spielberg.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it with that sentence. I had this passed by Tim Roby before. I almost said Tim Robbins. Tim Roby before the movie. Oh, Robbie called it the best Spielberg movie of the year. I'm like, oh God, he was right. And yes, it really is. Like, this is the Spielberg movie you wanted from, like, Disclosure Day, like a real proper Amblin era 1980s for the whole family kind of throwback piece. The dinosaur stuff, expertly done, like really wonderfully animated. Cast, performance is terrific. And I will say, for me, what really did it more than anything was I haven't seen a movie look this good. Like, look like a proper adult, like studio-made film in so long. There is a use of split diopters. And I don't know if you know what a split diopter is. You see it in some movies. It's where you have an object in the foreground and an object in the background, and they keep both in focus. To present both the foreground and background in focus at the same time. And they've done it with some quite shoddy digital trickery in this, but the fact that they have done it, because I can see the dividing blur line they've left in. Personally, I would have put the effort in to try and remove that, but it's one for the cinematography nerds only. And I was honestly on the edge of my seat, jaw on the floor, drooling every time they did this. Like, oh my god, please keep doing this split diopters. No movie does this. And I was honestly just amazed that we had this sort of upper mid-budget, like made by an actual auteur director who come from independent films, who has visions that he brings to the screen. Like, it follows a very singular movie, one that I don't think even he has ever managed to recapture. But seeing him actually apply it to something this kind of mainstream, this traditional, this Spielbergian, for lack of a better term, I thought was really impressive. Hathaway, great. McGregor, great. The kids are fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's obvious like what they're doing here by setting it in the 80s. It kind of allows them to cater it slightly towards the Stranger Things crowd as well. But with the parents, it's not too patronizing with it. Plus, you get dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are fun for all ages. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. I would say it's the kind of movie that, arguably, if you would sit through it, if you knew he would sit through the film, you could take your son to at the age he is now, and he would just be in this for the dinos. Like, he would just be in it to see like dinosaurs in a 1980s suburb, like a T-Rex running around the 80s burbs. That's a hell of a concept for any movie, and I think this really nails it. They really stick the landing with this. There was a rumour for a little while that this was going to wind up being revealed as the fourth Cloverfield movie, which thankfully hasn't happened because it's better than any of the Cloverfield movies, give or take 10 Cloverfield Lane. Sorry, I was just recovering from a cold, so I sound a bit weird. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be on anyone's best of the year list, but I think it's a really damn good movie.
I agree. From what I've seen, I think this looks brilliant. I mean, even the dinosaurs CGI looks incredible when you compare it to like Jurassic Park, which was great in its day. I mean, it's something else.
I actually did think the dino effects in this were actually more genuinely impressive than the ones in, was it Jurassic World Rebirth? What the hell was the last... Does anyone remember what the last Jurassic World... Was it Rebirth?
I think it was Rebirth, yeah.
The one we'll just call the Scarlett Johansson one. Like, I think no one ever calls it anything except the Scarlett Johansson one. But yeah, the dinosaurs in this are genuinely actually more impressive than the ones in the Scarlett Johansson one, because they kind of just felt like, oh, they've got the program saved, so they can just generate, there's no actual craft gone into this. That's kind of how, World Rebirth, or whatever you call it, that one actually kind of played out for me. But this, I enjoyed this more than the last two Jurassic World movies. I'll say that.
Well, if you want to check it out yourself, you can, because it's now in the cinema. Go and check out The End of Oak Street. Right, one last movie this week. It's called Stop That Train. Slapstick action comedy, apparently. We're going to find out with Van in a second. Hello and welcome back to Offscreen for one last ride this week. We are looking at Stop That Train. So this has got something to do with RuPaul's Drag Race, hasn't it?
Sort of. But before we do, I've got one question for burning me, and I've not got to ask you yet. I forgot to actually WhatsApp you and ask you. I noticed the other day, because I was recovering on the couch from wherever this bug was. There is a new trailer out for the Oasis Don't Look Back in Anger documentary. Have you seen this trailer?
Yes, and I've already had, who, my mate Johnny, who is a bigger fan than I am of Oasis, already had him going, we've got to go and see this, we've got to go and see this.
Well, it's in IMAX. It's in IMAX, I think it's the second week of September. So we will look into this. We'll get a boys' night going for this one. Is it the X Don't Look Back?
Hell yeah.
We shall. We'll make that a boys' night. I thought I'd ask you that first. Anyway, right, on to RuPaul's Drag Race. So yes, Stop That Train, which is sort of tangentially connected to RuPaul's Drag Race, features a lot of the talent from RuPaul's Drag Race. And also features RuPaul herself as the President of the United States. This is effectively a parody, or a sort of satirical musical parody of something like the Poseidon Adventure, like a good old school 1970s disaster movie. So there is a train called the Glamazonian Express, a hot pink train on which basically the whole thing is decked out. So half of it is kind of like a night out in GAY, and the other half is like the rich people carriages from Snowpiercer. And two stewardesses from another rival train line called Stank Trains not one of the more beloved ones, get their chance to sneak on and have a shot at the big time and work for this cool company, where they're quickly bullied by the other stewardesses, but become the train's only hope when it's electrified in a storm and finds itself careening out of control towards a previously unheard of megastorm, known only as a Stormaganza. Albeit with glitter and music. Have a listen.
Glamazonian is looking for 2 replacements. Now that could be us.
Opulent.
Luxury.
Oh my god, Tess? I didn't recognize you with all the crow's feet and sun damage.
Madam President, there's a Glamazonian Express headed directly into a massive storm.
It's a Stormaganza.
Mom!
I'm sorry, she always does this.
The brakes!
You're on a runaway train?
Tell it to us straight.
There's a 0.1% chance of survival?
Tell it to us gay.
I load my Subaru with tools. I pay my ex Deb some vegan jerky to help me. We fixed that train in like 20 minutes.
Boy gay.
Girl.
Do you know, I just think I would sit and watch this and just be laughing for the whole duration.
That is actually the interesting thing about it. Right, I did. I genuinely sat and laughed end to end. Now, I have to stress, I have never seen one episode in my life of RuPaul's Drag Race, right? I could not tell you a single thing about RuPaul's Drag Race other than who RuPaul is, who I sort of know from like US talk shows and things like that. Going back decades, right? I knew RuPaul as a sort of personality outside of RuPaul's own shows. So I'm not overly familiar with all of this. So as such, I felt a lot like what I would imagine would happen if you stuck, say, my dad in a Marvel movie. Where he's like, I don't know who this person is, I don't know who this person is, And I kind of felt like, so every now and again you'd get like a cameo, and it was quite clearly a drag artist playing this character. You're like, okay, I assume, given how bad they are at delivering this dialogue, and it is a drag performer, that I'm meant to know this person, and the character they are playing is meant to be either typical or antithetical to who they are naturally, and that's the gag. In which case it goes over my head. Fine, I understand that. And there's maybe 20 of these through the whole 90-minute film. But the actual humour outside of that is broad enough that you do get swept along with it. And you kind of fall into this. It's not quite Hot Shots or Airplane level kind of spoofery, but it's getting there. It's closer to Kevin Hart's forgotten 2004 comedy Soul Plane, where he did the same thing with an airline. And the pilot was Snoop. And he, instead of co-opting gay and drag culture, he had co-opted hip-hop bling culture. Same movie in different packages. It would be a very interesting exercise, actually, to contrast the two films, now that you think about it. Having said that, I had a really good time with it. I think if you're a fan of the RuPaul kind of the whole aura around RuPaul's Drag Race and the spin-off kind of shows that kind of come out of it, like different performers who've gone on to their own things, who all seem to turn up here, because there are just names amongst the drag artists that I do remember. Some of them I genuinely can't read out, by the way. I fell into this trap on BBC the other day.
Yeah.
I was trying to read out the names of some of them, I'm not reading that one out. Okay. Ginger would be the obvious one that I can't read out. For Ofcom reasons. But I am reasonably sure Ofcom would come after me despite the fact that's their name. But yeah, I think if you knew that, if you know that world, bearing in mind that I don't and I enjoyed it, I think if you know it, you're going to enjoy it even more. And I was already at the sort of, this is like a 3.5 star good time. I'd imagine if you did and you got all those jokes, this pushes it into 4.5 territory. Maybe not 4.5, but just push it up a notch. And I do think very funny, very sort of earnest in what it's going for. Surprisingly adult, but at the same time not kind of crass about it. And I thought that really worked.
Yeah, I love the sound of it. And I've seen obviously the trailer plays while I'm chatting to you, so I can sort of see what it's about. And actually, it looks really good. It's my sort of movie that you can just put on, not have to think too much, and just giggle and laugh away through the evening. So
yeah, it's got a lovely sort of bubble, pop kind of bubblegum aesthetic, hasn't it?
Yes.
The bright pinks and the I kind of love the way it looks. It has a sort of Josie and the Pussycats kind of effect. And at one point, they even make an actual outright reference joke to Snowpiercer, which I love, because it genuinely suggests that RuPaul or someone in that sphere watched Snowpiercer and thought, let's make a nod to this, which I have to adore. I genuinely want to just imagine that there was just a screening somewhere filled with drag artists watching, of all things, Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer.
They should have done that as the launch, shouldn't they? They could have broken a record of the most amount of drag artists in one place at the same time to watch the premiere of it, which would have been great. But yeah, looks like a top movie, that. Stop That Train, out in cinemas from now. So, we're taking a week off next week, but we are back in 2. What have we got to look forward to, Van? What's coming up?
Well, I got a veritable smorgasbord next week. I think it's the new Ridley Scott movie next time round, The Dog Stars, which I think has Austin Butler in it. We've got the upcoming, the sexless sex comedy, as it's being called, One Night Only, which I don't know if you're aware of this movie. It's kind of like The Purge, but for sex. So unmarried people can only hook up one night a year in this movie. And despite this being the premise of the movie, they cut all the sex scenes from it because apparently they thought it put off Gen Z. Which, wow, okay. I can't wait till the next John Wick movie when you cut out all the action scenes. Cheers for that, geniuses. This movie incidentally stars Monica What's-Her-Name from the Bob Dylan movie that everyone seems to love. I don't understand that one. Alongside the new Mr. Leaper, Callum Turner, Dua Lipa's husband. He's the guy in there.
Let's not talk about him.
I know. An enemy to men everywhere. Oh, I think we're all envious. We're all envious, aren't we? God. The man bagged the impossible. Right, we've also got Colony, Gail Daughtry and the Celebrity Sex Pass. I'm looking forward to, actually. This is a new comedy starring Zoe Deutsch, which is about, that idea that couples have like a celebrity pass, as a bunch of celebrities you're allowed to sleep with. And this is that idea. What if your partner actually did it? How far would you go to even up the score? And that is the premise of this movie. We have the new Gregoraki movie, I Want Your Sex, with Olivia Wilde. Leviticus, I've heard a fair amount. And one I've been looking forward to for a while, Hugh Jackman's new movie, The Death of Robin Hood, which is basically Logan, but with Robin Hood, starring the guy who played Logan. So...
There's a lot of sex in a couple of weeks, by the looks of it, in the movies that we're reviewing.
I mean, it's been such a panty-raised year so far that I think it's overdue. If we're honest, like let's make movies filthy again. That's always my cause. I am #make movies filth again.
Well, there's some that we're going to be looking at when we return in a couple of weeks. That's all we've got time for this week on Off Screen. We'll see you in 2. I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it cinematic, and we shall return.